welcome to another video. Today we're doing something just a little bit different. I've been talking about how this week I've been feeling very uninspired, super uninspired, and obviously I don't think that you should only wait for inspiration to draw, because how are you ever going to improve if you're just waiting for inspiration? Drawing is a habit you need to form, right? So that way you can get consistent and get better. So I was like, I need to draw something. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be something. And so when I feel like I have to draw something and I'm feeling kind of antsy and sort of kind of restless, I just take markers and I use those to sketch, specifically alcohol markers. These are alcohol markers. Specifically, they are markers from Tombow. Specifically, they are Tombow ABT Pro alcohol based markers. I bought these a couple of years ago because I wanted to try them out. I don't know if I would 100% say I recommend them. I bought the pastel set and they're okay. They're pretty thin, and so I feel like I'm not sure they're worth the money, because I feel like they're actually pretty similar in price to Copics, at least the last time I bought them. I bought them when they first came out, so they were still like highballing the price on them. So they're pretty similar in price to Copics, and so if you're gonna spend money on these markers, I would spend money on Copics instead, just because the brush nib is a little bit better, and also it gets way more ink. These are thin as hell, but because they were thin as hell, the chisel tip on them is actually pretty small, and so I'm just using that to sketch. I could have sketched with the brush pen, but I'm not 100% confident in sketching with brush pens. You guys know this. So I went ahead and started sketching with the chisel tip, and that was a lot of fun. Like I said, I normally only sketch with alcohol marker if I'm really like not feeling it, if I'm like really like I don't know what to do, but I had to do something. And so it's just a way for me to get a little bit more messy than I really allow myself to, than when I do stuff in pen or pencil especially. But yeah, I feel like whenever I sketch in pen, I mean, honestly, my sketches even with pen are super messy, but I also feel like I focus on them too much, which doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense in my own weird brain. But if like I really just got to make something that I don't care about, it's hard for me not to care about pen sketches in the way that they turn out. And so if I really want to like not care, I do it in alcohol marker, just because it's really hard to see details when I am sketching with the alcohol marker, because it kind of feathers out a little bit and the lines are not as sharp and not as thin, and so it's like really hard to see the details of it. And so when you don't really see the details of it, and it doesn't really look 100%, like it doesn't really make sense when you're looking at it, it makes me feel like it doesn't matter as much. And so whenever I want to sketch something that doesn't really matter, I go ahead and do it with alcohol markers. I guess it would be like the same thing as if you want to like sketch in like crayon or something, or like maybe you were just like scribbling with the pen and just to keep your hand moving. I guess it would be similar to something like that. Obviously I still drew characters for this, but I kept them really vague, and then after I sketched them all out with the alcohol ink, I did go in with a pen and outline them a little bit more, but because they already had an underbase of the alcohol ink, I still didn't really care about them too much. And so yeah, I just feel like this is a really good way to like make sure you're doing some art without putting too much pressure on yourself. I feel like part of the reason why I do suffer from art block so much so often is that I always end up putting way too much pressure on myself, you guys. And so these are really fun, no pressure little doodles. And so yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about what they are, because initially when I was sketching them, I wasn't really trying to put too much thought into it. I would like think for like 30 seconds before I put the pen down, and then I was like, this is what I'm gonna draw. So for the first one in blue, that's just my character, my OC. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name so hard. His name is James. These are actually all characters from Hope Story, which is just they're people who work in a restaurant. So James is technically the main character of that story, and so I just wanted to draw James, just being James. He's just sitting there waving. And then after I drew James in the green, I drew Hope, but I was like, as I was sketching out Hope, I was like, I don't want this Hope to be boring. And so I was like drawing him, and I was like, well, what if I gave him a trench coat? And so I gave him a trench coat, and then I was like, well, what if the trench coat was because he was an old-timey detective? And so I gave him a detective hat. So this is like Hope in an AU if he was ever a detective. And so yeah, that's what I drew for the second one. For the third one, in the one in orange, it's the boss, but I kind of ran out of space, and so I was like, I could draw somebody standing up again, because two of them were standing up, or I could draw someone sitting down. And I was like, okay, I'll draw someone sitting down. And then I drew him sitting down, and I was like, okay, well, what is he doing sitting down? I guess he is an underwear model, and so I drew him as an underwear model. And so after that, I was like, okay, so I drew an underwear model. What should I draw now? And I was like, who should I draw now? I was like, I guess I'll draw the inspector. And I was like, because the inspector and the the boss kind of go together. And so I was like, okay, we'll draw the inspector, but what's the inspector doing? And I was like, I guess he can be the old-timey photographer for the underwear model. And so I drew him as a photographer. And I was like, but he doesn't really look like a photographer. So right at the end, real fast, I added a beret. So he's an old school photographer wearing a beret. And you can't really see his face because it's behind the camera. But that's what the whole gist of this sketchbook spread sort of kind of turned out. Like, doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of all over the place. And the sketches are not very clean. And they don't really look very nice. But they were so much fun to do, you guys. They also didn't take me very long to do either. This footage is sped up at 2 times speed. But even at 2 times speed, it's very, like, that's only 16 minutes. Like, each of the initial sketches with the alcohol ink only took me 2 minutes. And then going over with a pass of gel pen, another 2 minutes. So 4 minutes for each figure. So pretty fast. I could have like used reference and shit for that, but I kind of just wanted something out of my brain. Because sometimes I feel like using reference also uses up a lot of brain space, at least for me, because I'm looking over and then I have to copy it, and I'm looking over and I have to copy it. And sometimes it gets really fucking annoying. And so if I ever just want to shut my brain off and not really think too much and just draw whatever comes out of my mind, or just whatever comes out of my hand, that's what I use these alcohol drawings for. I think I would suggest doing those for you guys, or just use some other form of like permanent media where you can like feel like you can get kind of sloppy with it and make things that you don't really care about, just as like a way to de-stress from doing art. Like, I try not to make art too stressful for myself, but just because of the way that my brain works, I do end up stressing myself out. And so when I do end up stressing myself out, I kind of get, I don't know what the word is. I kind of don't want to do it anymore, but I think that's everybody, right? But basically, I don't want to do it anymore, and I really don't want to get into the habit of not drawing. I like to draw, and I feel like if I didn't draw, I'd feel a lot more sad, because there was a time where I didn't want to draw, and I think I was a lot sadder back then. Just a lot of times where I didn't want to do hobbies at all. You guys know what that's like. Anyway, yeah. And so I want to keep being able to draw, and I feel like art block really discourages me a lot, as it does with everyone. And so I do my best to combat art block in ways that are fun for me, because the whole point of art for me anyway is that I'm having fun and creating characters that I like and bringing some of the story ideas I have in my mind to the page. And so yeah, this is just fun for me. Sometimes I just have fun doing art. I know sometimes I make it sound like so sad, and making art makes me feel sad, but it really doesn't. I have a lot of fun drawing. I plan to have a lot of fun drawing this week. Last week I was kind of like blah all over the place. But after I recorded the videos for the week, I've been getting a bit more pumped and feeling a lot better about art and drawing and having more fun doing it. I'll tell you more about it in tomorrow's video, because what I do in tomorrow's video actually informs why I feel better about my art lately. But yeah, I've been feeling a lot better. Anyway, that's the end of the video, you guys. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I will go ahead and see you in the next one. Bye.